the gap, standing for Jesus. Standing in the gap for family and friends. Standing in the gap, one love for all, so we all can make it in.
Go into our segment on the Gap, the Gap News, with maybe something more uplifting. And just to preface it, is that as we have been talking about the strides that have been made to try to at least attempt to even the playing field. And one of those has been voting. If you remember, blacks couldn't vote, and then they got the right to vote, and then they were prevented from voting, and it was only the men who were given the right to vote anyway. But a lot of them couldn't vote because of poll taxes and because of all these things that you had to do in order to vote according to the Jim Crow laws and all that. And finally, in 1919, women as a whole got the right to vote. But of course, then the black women had to go through the poll tax and all that kind of thing. And so voting, so important that, and we've been talking about 1965, from 1865 to 1965, 100 years, right? Mm-hmm. There was a Voting Rights Act finally, and all that stuff they were trying to do to subvert our right to vote. Now we have a Voting Right Act that allowed us to try to even that, get rid of all that stuff, even the playing field. And so, what a monumental law that was. But then we're going to find out the Supreme Court recently said that, well, things have changed, so we don't really need that anymore. But you know, the problem is that, and I've always comment on it, is that as we were coming up from slavery and into freedom, they call it, all right, every now and then we find somebody, this is the first black to do this. This is, and even, I'm sure you remember, a lot of you remember too, all these first blacks, you know, first black to be a general, the first black to be an astronaut, the first black to get on the Supreme Court, and all that. First black. If it take 100 years for the first black to get something, there's something wrong with this country. Okay, now you say, okay, but now we're in 2023. It's been 158 years now. Okay, and so, and a lot of the Republicans and white people want you to say, all right, y'all need to get over that because it's been 150 something years. And, you know, we've got all these first black, we got the first black president, first black vice president. We got the first black female on the Supreme Court and all that. So we need to get beyond it. But we found out this week in current events that we're still dealing with first black. And Marvel has a video to show you on our Gap News.
Winning today's special election for Virginia's 4th Congressional District. She becomes the first black woman to represent Virginia in Congress.
That's right. History made tonight in Virginia. Now McClellan went head-to-head with Republican Leon Benjamin. Both candidates were looking to take the place of the late Donald McCeachin, who passed away back in November.
John Hood joining us live from downtown Richmond at McClellan's celebration. And John, what did the Congresswoman-elect have to say tonight?
Hey, Kurt McKee. Well, that celebration is now over, but just after 8 o'clock, McClellan and her team came out to this podium to celebrate with what was a large crowd on what was a quick turnaround race since December's primary. History made Tuesday night as Democratic candidate Jennifer McClellan becomes the first black woman elected to represent Virginia in Congress.
This district, over 100 years ago, sent John Mercer Langston to Congress as the first African-American Virginian. This city helped send the second, Bobby Scott, and then we sent Donald McCeachin. That is quite a legacy, and I look forward to building on that legacy.
McClellan started off by thanking the late Donald McCeachin for his service and for his wife's support.
Thank you to Colette for sharing him with us and for giving me her blessing to embark on this journey to carry on his legacy. He is with us in this room.
We also heard from Republican candidate Leon Benjamin at his after-election party ahead of results pouring in. He says over this special election, he heard from a lot of voters who wanted to see change.
No, just want to thank all the voters. Thank all those that prayed, all those that stayed, all those that just dug in for us.
McClellan ended the night by saying she looks forward to taking her 18 years of leadership and all the work she's accomplished in Richmond to Washington.
I am ready to get to work. I got a little more work to do down the street, but when we are done, I am ready to fight for you in Congress for as long as you will have me. Thank you.
All right. First black. You know, we had the first black governor of Maryland too, right? Is that the governor that was elected?
Right, just recently in the November elections.
We had the first black senator from Georgia, right? And the first Jewish too.
Right.
And all that. So there's all these firsts. Why does it take 150 years to have these firsts? Because somebody's pushing back against it.
That's right. That's right.
And plus, it takes, in this case, 158 years. But one of the things that is being unleashed here, which the Republicans, a lot of the white superiority people don't understand, is unleashing the power of black women. Because you're gonna find out that if you thought it was rough dealing with the black men,
Oh yes. Oh yes.
we're in a whole different situation here, and and remember, the first black that's monumental. Okay, the problem with that is you can be the first black, and then after that, the only black.
Sometimes that's the case. But a lot of times that first black does pave the path and cut down all the brush and the weeds and everything so that it makes it easier for somebody to follow in their footsteps.
But we can't allow them to think that because they've allowed the first black to be something, that they've done everything that they should have, and all is up to you now. As we have shown, there's all kind of things working against that. Okay, that's our black news, our black news, our Gap news. Black history
Black
news.
History Gap news
Yeah,
all together, huh?
Black history Gap news. We don't just deal with black history and Gap news, but this is Black History Month. So, yes, you give us 28 days, we're going to use them. All right.